I find it such an important area to work with because most people of the world have no boundaries. And basically their energy is so interconnected with those around them that they're not able to sort out what's my stuff and what's the stuff of somebody else. And in particular, for women of my generation or a decade before my generation, it's even worse. At least younger people these days are beginning to, because of the me generation, there's much more of a sense that, you know, I have the right to care for myself or whatever. But in particular, it's an important value, even if the culture itself doesn't go along with it. Most women realize what they've been taught by their culture isn't healthy. I did my work in psychology for my master's degree like in the 1970s. Nobody talked about boundaries or protection or self-care from that generation of psychologists. It's really interesting. And even now, it's in some countries that's just never considered. So begin to realize, no matter what your formation is educationally, it's something that needs some attention paid to. And usually people get it right away and they realize it's not something. I know in Latin America, my second language is Spanish, and often women will say, oh, es muy egoísta. In other words, it's very egotistical to consider self-care or boundaries. And in reality, it's just the opposite. I always say in return, actually, good self-care is just good common sense, because then you'll be able to work better with those around you, and you won't lose yourself in the process. You won't burn out in the process of doing the work you do. So let's go over a few of the practices that you already know that begin to help build that sense that I have a center. And this is part of what you need to build up, whether it's working in spiritual guidance or meditation, working with grassroots people who are dealing with domestic violence or the like, beginning to help people actually recognize inside of me there is a place that I could call my center. So the fastest way to teach that is very simple, and we do that usually when we do the finger holds. Cross your ankles and put your fingertips together. And we did this in Module 1, and often just holding a position like this, we're able to breathe in deeply and feel like we can actually rest deep within inside of ourselves. Now feel the difference. When your energy is unconnected, just open your fingers, uncross your ankles, and see what it feels like just to have your energy running just with the environment around you. Normally your fingers will feel tingling. You probably feel that. And normally energy comes in the left side of the body, circulates through your body, and then out the right side of the body. So if there's a big fight or a conflict or a lot of loud noise, you'll be just pulled into that. You'll be drained. Now don't close down, just contain yourself. Cross your ankles and put your fingertips together. So you're not creating a big barrier in front of you, but you're actually resting within yourself, and you're able to watch what's going on around you. Sometimes it's really crazy out there, and you can just maintain that deep center within yourself. And after practicing this, for a few weeks, a few months, gradually you begin to always rest in that quiet, still place within you. If I were to facilitate and be just very extrovert all over the place, I'd exhaust you, because I also would be pulling your energy and pulling just everything that you're trying to focus on, just pull you out of yourself. But if even watching a crazy facilitator who's a little bit manic, if you're seated like this or imagining that you're in your center, you can watch them and think, wow, they're really a little crazy today, aren't they? I wonder what they had for breakfast, or if they had too many Starbucks coffee or something like that. You can watch it, not judge it, but just see the reality of what you're looking at, and you're separate from it. And this is what we're talking about, how to maintain your own clear self in the midst of it. Earlier today, we did the switching exercise, so just relax for a moment. And if it's difficult for you to settle down and let go of just that monkey mind that can't stop talking, switching would be an excellent exercise to do several times a day, or anytime you notice that you're just on autopilot and your brain is going a mile a minute, which is a lot of people around us. I can always, when I go into groups, I can always tell, is this group centered or not? Or is it just off center and very, very hyperactive? With little children, you notice it, but just begin to watch when you go into grocery stores for shopping or on airplanes or whatever. If you go into very hyperactive groups, it's so exhausting unless you're able to really stay very clear and centered. So again, switching helps us to quickly go into that. Left ankle over right, hands in front of your body, thumbs to the ground, right over left. Interlace your fingers, fists to your chest. Again, we're connecting with one of those major points in the center of our sternum. Close your eyes. Just drop into that clear presence of your own being, that safe place deep within yourself. Relax your tongue and the roof of your mouth with the tip of your tongue behind your upper front teeth. Breathe in and just move into stillness. And just notice how that feels, to let go of all thought and just be still. And you'll hold that position for several minutes, and then release, uncross your ankles, gently open your eyes, and just notice that quick shift. And look at people's eyes. There's such a different look in everybody's face when you move into that stillness. Tomorrow we'll do another exercise of actually holding our energy field, and it will also practice when you lose it and when you're able to stay centered and how you manage different situations. But I want to just focus a bit on the things we'll be doing this afternoon. So let's now do a little bit about protection and also radiating out an energy field around us. Let's stand. And in the manual, in many of our materials, there are a number of exercises to help begin to build this sense of my own energy field. And just to see what that looks like, if you don't mind my working with you, Christine, would that be okay? Just tell me when you begin to feel uncomfortable with my presence. Okay? And is this even better? Okay, what's this like? Okay. So do this with one of the people next to you. Notice where your limit is, where you feel comfortable and when you begin to feel uncomfortable. This is
That's fine. You got to right now first. Have you got to I know. She's not right. No, you yeah, that's okay. So you step back on it, look at that. Okay. That's worse. Oh, yeah. I'm a context. Do you want... That's a bit... That's very good. That's better. Yeah. And I think your height makes it. Let's do it. It's amazing, actually. I'll do it. You tell me. You're way fast. But you let me way back here. Way back here. See, it probably differs with every person.
Just go around to this circle again. And what did you notice? Let's get a few reactions. Your territory or your energy field is a very cultural, family-based or ethnic reality. And never feel that yours is bad or good. Everybody has a different limit to what's acceptable for them. Anybody want to make a comment? What did that feel like for you? And what distance did you feel comfortable with?
You just commented on my height as being
Yes.
something that made me feel even more. So,
Exactly.
yeah, it's been something that's imposing, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And it's good to be aware of that because
I'm aware of that.
I often work in cultures, for example, in Japan, I have a very tall team member, Yuko, but one of my other team members, Maki, can fit under my arm. Oh, yeah. She's this very, very short Japanese woman. And the same way when I'm working with Mayan Indians in Guatemala, most of them fit under my arm. So pictures look hilarious because I'm this like Jack in the Beanstalk and everybody's short. Just be aware of that as part of the energy dynamic. Also, when I came close to Christine, she knew exactly where this was no longer acceptable. Now, if I'm in Japan, this is way too close. It would be way back here, or Korea the same way. And you bow. You don't touch or hold hands or shake, but it's you bow. And the older you are, you bow more profoundly. So these are nuanced aspects of our energy field just to be aware of. So if you're tall or shorter, I notice who's working together right here. This is wonderful. Notice. People up to do body work. Sometimes it's just really funny where people come up towards just about chest level. So just notice what your comfort level is. Now let's increase the strength of our field. This is a martial arts technique that one of our team leaders from California has learned, and also a man from Ireland who's a black belt in martial arts. And what we're going to do is, first of all, place your hands beneath your navel. And just breathe in deeply and imagine that deep within your belly, right under your navel, there's a center that you can imagine is like the organizing center of your energy field. For the people of China, this is called the Dantian. For the people of India, it's called the Hara. It's the center of energy force. And if you know any martial artists, it's very important to have a very strong presence or a very strong energy field. For example, if I have no self-concept in my own person, and I walk the streets feeling like a victim, thieves or persons who want to assault another can look at my body structure, know intuitively, I can beat this person up and rob them. It's just a second nature. So in dangerous situations, we work with, let's say, the Palestinian women going through checkpoints. You go clear and grounded and centered. So you walk from your center. You don't walk as if you have no center and no power. So let's build that sense of our center. And we're going to do it, let's do two dynamics. First of all, just imagine that you can extend out that energy, almost like a light force in front of you, and now up over top of you, behind you, and then just kind of bring that light force around you and under your feet. And then you can even, as it were, zip up your energy field up to this point right here. So you zip it right up to this point that connects the ascending and descending channels of energy. And now just stand with this radiance out around you. You've all seen images of saints or angels with halos. This is what is depicted there in the traditional Indian practice of the energy field and the chakras. You see this radiance out around you. And this is what gives you your strength and power. So beginning your day with this sense of just generating this sense of light and power around you. It's a tradition in many cultures. The Mayan Indians will wrap their children with bands of light and put that around them as protection. In the Christian scriptures, you may remember that beautiful passage from Philippians, put on the armor of God's light. So whatever is your tradition, many traditions speak about surrounding yourself or radiating that light force around you. Now, sometimes, let's imagine Teflon, not just light, but because light sometimes is permeable. But let's say we're going into a difficult situation where we need more than only light. We put just this kind of Teflon coating around us, almost like a beautiful glass egg of light. You can choose the color that you want, perhaps a beautiful rose color of compassionate love, or sometimes a golden, bright golden color. And you can, if you like to work with colors, you can choose the colors that give you the greatest sense of that protection and well-being. So if anybody's coming into your energy field, you can imagine it coming up against that Teflon coating or shrink wrap. Sometimes on airplanes I put shrink wrap around me because you're like sardines in the airplane. And that any sort of negative energy just bounces off you. It doesn't go back to the person. It bounces into the earth. So we're doing this non-violently, so you're not giving back that, that negative, awful energy. You're just deflecting it down into the earth, okay? A few of the other images in the manual are like, just surround yourself with cement. And sometimes, going into prisons or going into detention centers, you just have to really put up that very strong boundary. Now, let's actually generate the light force around us. So this is, again, a martial arts practice. And we're going to breathe out from that center beneath the dantian and imagine just a light force field radiating out in front of us. So just watch me for first. We're going to breathe out. Okay, follow me. One more time. Now to the right. To the right. To the left. Behind you. Overhead. Underneath you. And now come back to your center and just stand for a moment, feeling that force field of your own light radiating out around you. And now we're still a little unbalanced, so we have to do this with the other hand. To the right. To the left. Behind you. Overhead. And underneath you. And again, back to your center and just stand with that strength and that protection around you. It's subtle, but as you do this, you begin to feel, oh, I have this strength, and I can walk in that light and that strength. So that if somebody were thinking about attacking me, I'm grounded, I'm strong, and I can stand up clear. Not in a violent way, but I can stand clear. Now, Allie, I'm going to ask your assistance here. Allie, why didn't you do that? Allie, why didn't you do that? Okay. And notice what I just did to Allie, that happens every moment of the day. People come at us, and we're bowled over. Okay. Although Allie and I, we've been playing so much together that
You've just done that exercise, and so my Bible is
Allie, stay here. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Okay. So what we're going to do is do a practice that's called the mosquito net. Okay. And you all know what a mosquito net is. In some countries, I have to explain what that is because you don't really have too many mosquitoes or flies. But it's a screen. And we're going to have Allie do a visualization where it's not that she puts a mosquito net in front of her, she becomes the mosquito net. So close your eyes for a moment, Allie, and just imagine that you become porous, that every cell of your body is porous. You're like a mosquito net, and whatever comes at you can just go through you. And when you feel ready and you have that sense, open your eyes and we'll see what happens. Allie, why didn't you do that? Now look at Allie's eyes. She didn't stand up and say, you antidote, which would have only made me stronger. Often a person who stands up and just looks defiantly back will up the ante and increase my sense of verbal violence or physical violence. But again, look at Allie's eyes, she's clear. And it's like she can see what's happening and it all just goes through her. This is excellent at checkpoints because usually at checkpoints you're being checked out to see how can I get your vulnerable point and what can I do to just really get you. And if you react or blink or show any sign of weakness, you then become the victim. So we're going to work in twos. The first time, feel what it feels like just to have somebody scream at you and feel that I didn't touch Ellie at all, but literally I can make her cower just by my offensive energy coming at her. And then after doing that was just feel it, then go absolutely clear. Close your eyes and imagine that you become porous. It's like Jesus before Pilate. It's Gandhi before the Salt Walk, Martin Luther King before all of the demonstrations, Nelson Mandela in prison. They were so clear that whatever violence was coming at them, they were these power centers of peace and nonviolence and could just let it go through and nothing sticks to you. So try this now for 2 minutes with another person in the group.
I'll do it. Okay.
That's really hard. So who's going to do it then?
Christine, why didn't you do that?
Pretty good. There is the rest.
Nothing. Not.
What are you doing? So, I find this quite difficult concept, but we'll try it. So let's try to be respectful, shall we?